Hey, I'm Dirk from Prime Circle, and today we're chatting a little bit of my guitar rig rundown. So follow us into the guitar world. I have my guitar tech over here, so he's going to explain one or two things for you guys on all the guitars.
So this is the first one here. It's a Fender Strat, USA built. Just a standard Strat with a humbucker in the bridge position, and what we added here was a little kill switch for when we do TV appearances and things like that. It's just a real kill switch, so everything is completely silent. And outside that we're using the normal Sennheiser belt packs, and all the wireless systems are equipped with the silent plugs, so we don't get any noise when we plug them in or out when I tune over here on my bench. Then the other main guitar that we have for Dirk's side is a Paul Reed Smith single cut, or actually a SC245, so it's the short scale version.
Definitely one of my favorites.
It's all in standard, so no changed pickups, no nothing, and we're using 10 to 52s on these ones. And this is tuned to standard. Then the next guitar that we have here is a Gibson Les Paul Classic with a 60s neck, also standard in black, and this one is tuned down to drop C sharp. Everything normal, everything standard. And then this is the backup guitar. It actually was the main guitar for many years. It's also Les Paul standard, also with a 60s neck. For many years it was the main guitar that we were using on tour. But then when Ross also was using a Les Paul, we kind of swapped them out. So when we have two humbucking guitars, we only use one Les Paul and one Tele. And so, or when Ross is playing a Les Paul, then we're using the PRS for Dirk. So that's kind of why this became a backup guitar. And then we have acoustics. We have two of those Yamahas. They are identical, and they are for also dropped C tuning, dropped C sharp, sorry. And yeah, normal pickup system in them. They have been around the block once or twice, so they had to be fixed up quite a lot actually, but yeah, working gear. And then the newest addition to the family is this one. That's the
Beautiful guitar.
Yeah, it's the Martin acoustic. Great sounding guitar. Also normal piezo pickup system in it. And tuned to standard or drop D, but that's something that the guys mostly do on stage when they drop D.
Depending on the song, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we have one in standard tuning, and this also goes down to drop D, and then we have drop C sharp, and that's it for the guitars.
Cool, so we run the Kemper amps, the profiling amplifiers. These are the non-powered versions. We've added the Mesa 2020 power amp. So generally what we do is we don't use any guitar amplifiers on stage. We actually run just a full stereo in-ear monitoring system. But every now and then it's cool to have cabs on stage. So we actually just connect from here into here, and from there to maybe two 4x12 cabs for myself and for Ross. So what we've also done is just rigged it up in such a way so that we can actually just use it whenever we'd like to. So it's generally, it's just sort of there for those times that you want to really run a cab, but like I say, most of the time we don't. Then on my sounds, I've always been a fan of what the older Marshall amplifiers have done, like the JSM 800s, the Super Lead series, and even the JMP versions. So I've got a few profiled sounds of the Marshalls in here which I really like, and I've just added a little bit of reverb and some delays and stuff on that, and also even just gained it down for the clean sounds and so on. So let's do a little bit of sounds. So a little bit of overdrive. then a little bit of a dotted 16th note delays. And a pre-programmed whammy pedal. And some nice clean sounds. And we have an extra boost channel just for those really cool solo parts. Cool. Hey, I'm back, and today I'm going to be Marco. So we're checking out bass guitars on this rig of ours over here. It's the Prime Circle bass guitar rig.
Yeah, in total we have 4 basses on the road. This is the number 1 bass. It's a Fender American Deluxe Jazz bass, 5-string. They're all basic setup, so all stock setup, made in USA. We have 2 that have the bright fretboard and 2 that have the rosewood fretboard. So this is a maple neck. And this is, oh no, actually over here. This is one with a rosewood fretboard. They're all tuned the same actually. So it's more a tonal kind of thing why we bring them out, because the necks sound a little bit different, the basses sound a little bit different. And then we have 1 right here, and that's the 4-string P bass that he actually brings out on the road. We don't use it a lot at the moment, but yeah, it's in there for when we need a 4-string basically. Also tuned standard. Marco's signals go straight onto the floorboard, and on the floorboard, I'm going to show you later, we have a Lely P-split, and one of the signals runs into this Avalon DI box, and from there it just runs onto our stage box. So this is a very, very pure signal. And if we walk over to the floorboard here, the floorboard, so the signal arrives right in here in the wireless unit. And from there we run it through the wah, through the volume pedal, and then into the Lely P-split. And inside the P-split we have 1 line that we run directly out into the Avalon that I just showed you. And the other line runs through all those pedals here. And the reason we do that is we want to have like a dry and a wet setup. So our sound engineer always has 1 very dry signal. So it's just the bass straight into the Avalon DI. And the rest is with effects. Marco is very big on overdrive pedals and distortion pedals right here. And depending on the sounds, he just likes to add different or multiple overdrives actually. And also for that, since this tone can get quite muddy sometimes, or not muddy, but distorted, we decided to add the Avalon DI box to keep like one signal always clean. And then he also has some fancy tools or some fancy toys here, like the synth or the looper or the delay, just for him to add some flavor to some of the sounds and some of the songs. And it all ends up here in the Tech 21 Sans amp. And that's basically his main tone. He stays on number 2 there, and this is roughly the settings that you can see that he uses. And from there we just run a straight line into the stage box. And yeah, that's it for the bass. We're going to check out some sounds now. Okay, so yeah, let's run through some sounds. So this is the very, very basic sound. It's only set up on his Sans amp sound number 2 with a little bit of compression. And then he adds in different overdrives. So this is the Big Muff. It's a very fuzzy kind of tone. This is the Tech 21. And then the main overdrive really is the T-Rex right here, which is a subtle kind of overdrive that he uses. Maybe without again. It's a very, very subtle kind of overdrive, just adding a little bit of structure. Another one that we have here is the MXR carbon copy. So that's a delay pedal that he sometimes likes to use on more ambient stuff. So it just has a little bit of delay on that one. Then we have a chorus sound that makes it a little bit wider. That's mostly for ballads, where he uses that. We have an octave, of course. So it just adds a lower octave. And another one right here is the bass synth. That's a little bit of a toy for him. On the big stages, it's really cool when you can just dial in a very low kind of sound. So it's just another type of flavor. So what Marco really uses the bass for is not only keeping roots, but also adding a little bit of flavor.
Hey, I'm Dirk from Prime Circle, and we're chatting now about Ross's guitar setup. He's the main vocalist and rhythm guitar player for the band. So we're going to just quickly run through his guitars, setups, and some of his favorite guitars, like this Telecaster over here, which we call the Guilty.
It's also a standard American Telecaster with a little bit of blood on it still from one of the shows. He's a pretty heavy player, so he plays heavy strings. He plays like 12s. And he's a heavy and hard hitter, and that's why you sometimes get a little bit of dirt on the guitars actually. Same thing here, we are as well using the Sennheiser wireless packs, also equipped with the silent plugs on all the guitars. And it's just a standard tele, standard setup, tuned standard as well. Then another one, another main guitar for us is this Gibson Les Paul. Same thing here, also a little bit dirty still from one of the shows. We do clean it up every once in a while, but he really beats this stuff. So. This is a reissue, a 58 reissue, and it's a great guitar. Sounds great. It's got the 50s neck, so it's really fat neck on that one, and standard pickups, standard everything. We don't really change a lot of things on the guitars itself. Guitar has a soul, and we just leave it that way. For Ross, we have another beauty here. That's a Gretsch hollow body that he likes to use on some of the more subtle stuff.
Yeah, the Gretsch you'll hear in more of the songs like Batten Down the Hatches. This is where this guitar really shines, and it really sounds cool. We've got some really nice sounds happening over here. As you can see, it's actually got the F holes, and it's a hollow body, so we can't gain this up too much, otherwise it starts feedbacking, and we also don't want to cover them up or fill the cavities to have that natural sound as possible.
It's like one of those guitars that has a special profile on the Kemper amps, because you cannot really use any of the other sounds that are overdriven as much. And then Ross also has a PRS. That's actually a long scale model, so it's a 250, but it doesn't say 250 because it's one of the older ones. It was built in 04. And this one also goes down to drop C sharp. For the heavier ones, and also, as you can see, it's been around the block for a while. So we've had this for, I don't know,
Sometimes.
Some years, eh?
Yeah, this is a real workhorse.
And yeah, it's always been good to us. And then Ross's acoustic, they switch sometimes, you know, sometimes they just swap guitars. But as far as the acoustics go, this is a 4 limited Taylor guitar with the Mexican kind of headstock.
Or cowboy headstock.
Cowboy headstock, as they call it, yeah. Tuned to standard pickup system, everything basic. Also really, yeah.
So, we have another Kemper profiling amplifier. This one is for Ross. Same thing here, he also runs a line into the power amplifier, so if from time to time we need to actually drive a cab on stage to have a bit of monitoring sound, it's wired in such a way that we can do it, but we generally don't. We just use the stereo in-ear monitoring system. So for us, he likes a little bit more of the fuzzier kind of sounds and more drier kind of sounds, so he doesn't have as many effects or any delays or anything on here. It's just a little bit of EQing done over here, and he runs what we call the little Walter profiles that we have over here, which is a more warmer kind of sound. And if we go over here, you can see some of the cleans. We use the AC clean sounds mic'd up with SM57s for his clean tones, and again only reverb, nothing else. Yeah, so it's a lot more of a drier sound. I've got more effects on my Kemper than what he has, so for him he likes the plain straightforward chords. I think there's one patch in here that we've done a double delay, the dotted 16th, right?
Yeah,
that we've done for him for one of the songs called Everything You Want, and that's about it. He's got all these patches set up here. He's using pretty much only four or five sounds in the first bank. So it's a very straightforward kind of setup for him. He likes one kind of overdrive sound, one kind of clean sound, and he's very happy with that.
So this is Ross's pedal board. It's a little bit smaller than Dirk's. We're using a very basic MIDI foot switch here with basically just 4 sounds. So we have a clean sound on patch 1, then patch 2 is the Les Paul, patch 3 is the Telly, and patch 4 is the Gretsch guitar. And then we did the same thing as with the other pedal board. Patch 5 basically is a mute patch, and the direct out of the Kemper runs into the side of the pedal board, and then just going into the tuner there, which is always on. Another thing on this pedal board is that he has the acoustic guitar running straight into here, and that runs through the tuner, through the delay, into this LR Bex DI box that we're using to shape the tone a little bit. And yeah, as far as tones go, if we go clean. That's kind of the clean vibe. That's the AC30, and then distortion tone, straightforward. And yeah, that's for the sounds.